The boy's spacesuit suddenly turned white. Realizing something was wrong, he quickly spread his hands and discovered a leech about to burrow into his skin. The boy shook his arms in fear, but it was too late. The toxin had already penetrated his body and spread throughout in the blink of an eye. The boy wanted to inject himself with an antidote to save himself, but the virus had invaded his nervous system, causing severe visual impairment. Terrified and helpless, Jack begged his father to save him. However, his father remained expressionless, calmly instructing his son on how to rescue himself. Left with no choice, Jack fumbled to take out the first antidote injection and forced himself to inject it into his heart.
Now the second. ASAP.
But when it came to the second injection, Jack could no longer find the right spot. Even his hands had lost sensation.
Dad, I can't feel my hands.
Press it into the ground.
Jack completely lost consciousness and his body collapsed weakly. Fortunately, with the help of the buffer force, the second antidote was also successfully injected. Seeing his son out of danger, the father's expression grew even more tense. At this time, the temperature difference between day and night on Earth was extreme. As time passed, the surrounding temperature was dropping rapidly. If Jack could not reach the geothermal zone before dark, he would completely lose his chance of survival.
Son, I need you to please blink your eyes.
At his father's repeated calls, Jack woke up in time and successfully reached the geothermal zone before the extreme cold arrived, surviving the frigid night. After making it through, Jack set off again. However, before he could go far, the road ahead came to an abrupt end. A bottomless cliff blocked the way. To make matters worse, he only had 2 vials of breathing fluid left, not nearly enough to support a detour. For the sake of his son's safety, the father decisively ordered the mission to be aborted. But Jack was unwilling to give up so easily. After all, he had persevered this far. Moreover, his father's injuries were severe. If he did not receive treatment soon, the consequences would be unimaginable. Having made up his mind, Jack no longer hesitated. He leaped into the air and jumped off the cliff. His father stared at the console with incredible tension, praying that his son would be safe and sound. Fortunately, the glider wings opened successfully. Jack soared between the canyons like a fledgling eagle, but before his father could breathe a sigh of relief, another mishap occurred. A giant eagle suddenly appeared above his son's head. Realizing he had been mistaken for prey, Jack immediately changed direction and dived down, planning to use the water to evade pursuit. However, the giant eagle was faster than he anticipated. Jack had just passed through the waterfall and had not yet steadied himself when he collided head-on with the oncoming giant eagle. His son's communication was cut off abruptly. The father's heart instantly sank to the bottom of the valley. But Jack, who had lost contact, was not dead. Instead, the giant eagle had brought him back to its nest. Seeing that there were only newly hatched eaglets around him, Jack was about to take the opportunity to escape when he suddenly noticed several tigers climbing up the tree trunk. To protect the newborn eaglets, Jack chose to stay. Using the weak spot in the eagle's nest beneath his feet, he successfully took out one of the tigers. At this point, the giant eagle also returned in time and directly drove away the remaining tigers. Having regained his freedom, Jack set off again. But too much time had been lost. Night was about to fall. A layer of frost crept up behind him. In an instant, his spacesuit turned pure white.